Based on the comments from the video about the 3 traps that men find themselves falling into most often in our work, I wanted to bring my real life partner on here because he is really skillful at giving some nuance and context to situations, and I feel like the questions that we were getting required a little bit more of that. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about the intensity trap. This
is an interesting one because it's not obvious why the intensity trap comes around in comparison to the perpetual preparation trap.
Yes, so we're going to distinguish those.
Yeah, funnily enough, it's the same underlying reason, but there's a different reason. It's the same underlying reason, but there's a difference as to why it occurs.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring Andrew on here because he's got the distinction that we are needing, and if you found yourself in the intensity trap, this one is going to be for you, especially to distinguish if it was one of those kind of figure eights where you find yourself in the perpetual preparation and then intensity. So we're going to just zoom in a little bit on that. I'm going to ask him some questions about his actual experience, what we've seen in the community, and also what has needed to shift in order to shift out of this particular type of trap. So
this is one I've actually lived as well.
Yeah, and tell us what that was like.
What it was like was I was in that figure eight, the perpetual preparation, and then all of a sudden intensity, and then perpetual preparation. And what it was like is like a start, stop, and also constantly feeling like I'm doing something wrong, or I am wrong is more to the point. And what I was doing was all of a sudden somehow somebody was interested in me and there was a connection. So I would go on a date and then I would be myself. And in the process of being myself, it would freak them out and then I would get nothing in return. So maybe I'd get 3 dates and crickets. And what I end up finding out was that it really stemmed from the relationship as goal mentality, where I would go from having no dates to all of a sudden somebody's interested in me. And from there, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing all the things. I'll practice the skills that I've been learning and applying it all and be able to do the things for her to pick me.
Like, great, here's a place to practice, but it was still coming from this underlying desire to be in the relationship more than the practice itself. Is that fair to say?
It's practicing the skills without realizing the proper mentality or lens to come from as to what will actually head it in the direction that I'm after. Because while I'm heavily focused on a relationship as a goal, then I'm all about having the other person go pick me. And the other thing I was going to say is what that creates as an experience for the woman isn't what will actually bring around the relationship I'm after.
Ooh, that's a good point. The experience on the other side is different than what you would expect for it to be.
So what is it? Is it like creepy or something else?
It just feels like I'm not there yet. It almost it feels like pressure in that you seem really great. He seems really skillful and like he's got the skills that I'm looking for, but he feels like he's on step 5 and I feel like I'm still kind of like in step 1, 2, 3 of the relationship developing. And so it almost feels like it's being pulled, which can sometimes either pull her off center, which is usually a red flag for me, that I need to slow the whole thing down, and that's going to cause me to put the brakes on. Because I need to slow down whenever I feel red flags in my system. It just, for me, means I need to slow down and actually feel into what's happening.
Which then causes desperation on this side.
Which will activate you.
Yes, it'll activate me, causes desperation. I try even harder. And then that's actually putting more alarms and red flags on her sides of things. And if she's not conscious or aware enough, then she's going to associate it as what I'm after is just sex. And all of a sudden, that's when creepiness comes in as an experience. And it may not be the case. It's rather that I want a relationship where physical intimacy is a part of it. And probably the fact that I at the time wasn't having as any sex whatsoever, it kind of has this need underneath it all that's all coming through the wrong way.
Yeah, it's just kind of like coming out sideways because there's a lot of pressure on it. I always say it's like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that's getting smushed. It's just kind of coming out the sides.
Oh, like when you get the little tomato packets and you go smush and they go...
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, so when we talk about the intensity trap, I find that this is common in the comments. I'm actually glad that we're talking about this, especially around how sexual energy plays into this and the intensity of like getting actual needs met, how this plays out as limerence. This can go in lots of different directions, and I'm going to have those conversations be separate ones just to keep us on track today. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of directions the ketchup can go when you go smush.
Yeah. I want to actually get back to what the intensity trap, was there anything that you were making it mean specifically that you needed a little bit of clarity on, that you could tell a former version of yourself?
Well, I've got some for myself, and there's others I've seen other men make as well. So the first one I made was women don't want what I want.
Ooh.
That was the biggest one that I had, and I've had to have a lot of healing on that, and realizing that no, women do want the things that I want. It's just that while I'm coming at it with the lens of relationship as a goal, that how I come across isn't in alignment with what it is I'm after. Another one, and this is justification. So when we're putting the wrong lens on, instead of being able to derive meaning, we end up getting results that aren't in alignment with what we expect, what we've heard, and then we have to justify instead of seek deeper clarity. Even though we may want deeper clarity, we're not going to get it while we got the wrong lens in place. And that was my justification. And justification happens mostly unconsciously, but then it shows up as our reality. Another one is that women just don't know what they're asking for. Like, I've been doing the things what they've been saying, I've been doing that, and they don't want it, they're doing some other thing. And there's a lot of truth in that at times, but there's also that's another justification.
Ooh. That feels like a whole other conversation too, but I just want to stay here for just a second, because how is it that you were seeing, again, looking back or looking from the outside looking in, how was that situation being brought on when you were bringing this intensity? Like how were they oil and water?
Okay, so what's the difference between then and now? Let's contrast it that way. That might be easier.
Yeah.
So I was going without dates, so I'd go and do a whole bunch of preparation, get some different skills, and then all of a sudden, somehow, I'm getting a date. And it's like, okay, great, I want to do my best. And as I bring myself and be myself, like I keep being told to do, then what ends up happening is it's what had the connection there, all of a sudden, like this feeling of connection kind of disappears and fizzles, and I'm trying to grasp at whatever that connection was because I want it back. And then there's this I don't know what's going on piece, and then it kind of just fizzles out, or she doesn't ever come back to me or something. And I go from something's working to all of a sudden it's not working, and again there's something wrong with me that I have to hide from people. And it's all the wrongness that comes with it all, which is what shame is. Feeling like there's something wrong with me, so I now have to try and compensate or hide from it. And in comparison, the difference was when I shifted from making the relationship the goal to sharing a life with people, I was then able to practice sharing my life with everybody. And it wasn't just about the relationship and a partnership and building out that life, but rather I'm doing that with everybody, like my friends, my family. How much connection I have with them depends on, how much is our shared life in unison. How would I put it? I made a priority the things that I was up for, the things that I wanted to do in life and I wanted to share with people. and how I wanted to share it with them was my priority. So if I was then around people that didn't want to do it my way, or how I would like to do it is probably a better way of putting it, then I didn't make them wrong. I'm like, great, that's good for you guys. And then I would have to go and find somewhere else that is more in alignment with what I'm up for. And I'm sure it's easy to say, well, that's all well and good for you type thing. My experience is that it's never this way, and that it's hard to do. And I'm going to say yes, flat out, it is hard. If it was easy, we would all have it. But the point is, if you're up for something, then really putting yourself to it is what's required. I had to really own that I wanted something and be willing to look at my life how it currently is, because I looked at it and went, well, it's fine. And technically it was, but it didn't have the things that I wanted. And I had to be okay with that my life isn't what I want. So I need to get clear on what I want. And while I had a relationship as a goal and being able to say, well, I want a wife and I want a partner. Cool, I do. I want those things. But while I have that as a goal, then I'm unconsciously making her the rescuer of my life that I don't want to be living. Whereas when I turn it around and go, great, what's the ideal that I'm after? What shared experience do I want to share with somebody else? And what are we building towards as a worthy ideal? Then that's when I was able to come at it from a different angle.
I love that you distinguished practicing with everyone, because this is, I think, what is missed just in observing from the feminine lens when I'm watching men who are in this trap. It is when you start practicing with everyone, because as we know, we're in relationship with many people. Relationship, I love that you distinguish, like, you want a relationship, great. Does that mean friendship to you? Does that mean your neighbor? Like, relationships are possible everywhere, which is also really cool, because when you start doing this type of work, all of those relationships get better too. Work, family, neighbors, community, friends, all of those get impacted when you start studying and understanding how you show up in relationships. But I love that what you're saying is that you were starting to practice everywhere, which means that when you do get a date, that's not the only practice ground that you have, which is going to automatically diffuse some level of intensity. Not that intensity is bad or wrong, but it is going to kind of like naturally calibrate it to what might be more, I'm going to say, appropriate for that situation.
Yeah, like when we're on a date, each person's getting a glimpse into the other person's world. So if I'm bringing my most amount of intensity into that date, the assumption is that is my baseline. And it may not be the case. Rather, what I'm after is more of a relaxed life. So not relaxed in the sense that I'm doing nothing, but rather a steady pace that I'm after. And my steady pace may be more than somebody else's steady pace. Like if we use an example within walking, I'm actually, 6'1". So I've got long leg stride. And my steady pace in comparison to someone who's 4'2" is very different. Now that's a rather extreme example, but you can take that into the realms of connection and relationships and partnership with a life partner, and being able to go, great, what pace do I want in my life? And what pace do I want in different areas? So if I'm not showing that by being in my pace that I'm after within my life, I'm either showing too much or not enough, then someone else is going to assume that who I am in those realms is those extremes. So this is where self-assurance is needed, because a lot of people look for confidence. Confidence is something that shows up when we are self-assured. So being able to get very clear on, well, what do I need for myself so I feel assured of who I am, and that I'm not looking to somebody else to assure me in who I am. I'm looking for, do they feel like they're a fit for what I'm up for? In which case, great, how do we make this work? Or is it in alignment with our expectations? And that's the deeper conversation of what dating is about. But if I'm looking for someone to pick me, or I'm desperately going for, I just want a relationship, and I'm not clear of what type of relationship that I'm after. For instance, you and I practice work-life integration. Not everyone's up for that. This means that work is on our mind on a regular basis. It's not everything we do, but it's a big part of it. I know people that once they finish work, they want to cut off. They want to be able to sit down and not think about work. That's work-life balance. So getting clear on what you want in different parts of your life means that you then are able to show up in that and being, all right, this is who I am. And it's no longer about a pick me type thing, but rather, is this the type of life that you're after too?
Two things. I love that it will naturally feel really intense to the wrong person. That's usually a sign of lack of compatibility more than something wrong with either of you. Because I've had partners in the past where it didn't work because I wanted more what you say work-life integration, and they were a 9 to 5. That the entrepreneur route is like, I love this. It's always on my mind. I'm passionate about it. I want to study it. I want to like eat, sleep, breathe. Let's do this. And they're like, I'm here for 9 to 5. That's what you're paying me for. And then after that, it's personal time. So it was very like modular instead of just like all together. And that doesn't necessarily work unless we're able to have this language to talk about how to put things in place to allow those things to happen, or to find someone who also loves doing this kind of lifestyle of we're doing work all the time and we're doing family stuff and life stuff and friend stuff. It all fits together. I lost my train of thought on the other piece, but I find that that's the case. Is it's usually a sign of deeper incompatibility than something wrong.
I'm sure the other train will come by again later. But I love what you're saying there, where if somebody isn't able to, if someone is triggered by your level of intensity, then they're opting out.
That.
Yes.
Ouch. That.
I found the more I realized this to be the case, the more that I lent into not over the top intensity, because what I was doing before was bringing everything that I had, but rather being comfortable in my depth is a better way to put it.
Ooh, yes.
Because I was being too intense, and when I was being too intense, what I was doing was I wasn't comfortable with my own depth. So then I would hide it on a day-to-day basis. And then when I felt a connection at the depth that resonates with me, then I was going too intense in the process. So what I was doing instead that actually really started to work for me was just being okay that I'm a deep person. And therefore, with everybody in my life, I'm going to bring that depth. And if it scares you, okay, then I would back off in the depth around you, but I would also back off around you because you're not the type of person that I want to have the ongoing relationship with. You're probably more an acquaintance or just the general public. And these are distinctions I made for myself around how much do I invest in a relationship, because I was investing too much too soon. I was allowing their stuff to impact me because I could feel it. So therefore I wanted to go there because those are the conversations I was after. But it may not be what they're after. They may want to hide. And they may want to have a life where they, to me, seems like hiding. It may not seem that way to them.
Ooh, I think that is really significant. Again, it's about honoring the capacity of the other person and the desire of the other person. You may be able to see it and feel that there's something deeper here, and you keep trying to open that door that they're like, no, I actually don't want to open that door. And it can be actually, and I'm going to say like, there's a caveat here, but it can be disrespectful in that it's overstepping for them. If it's not a desire for them to open that, if they're not opting in,
they didn't ask for it. Then
to continue to try to do that will feel for them like a boundary violation. That will be where the intensity is getting
triggered.
It's going to trigger them. And again, it just goes back to your needing to find someone that is wanting to go to that depth with you, because it will be a natural opt-in in that way. The fact that you could go deep was a natural opt-in for me, because in the feminine space, and I just want to share this from a feminine perspective, I hear women all the time who are craving a level of depth. They're not scared of depth. the fact that they are owning it is causing them to sift through people who are not able to meet them there. So there are lots of women who are craving depth. For a man to own his depth and say, this is also what I'm after, is going to be refreshing for the right type of woman.
And for the men that are like, well, where do I find these women? The thing to realize is that while you're putting the lens in place of relationship as a goal, you're putting off signals that are triggering false negatives. So therefore, you got women that want the intensity, but because of how you're perceiving the meanings that you're making and the reactions and responses you're doing based on those meanings, you're firing off in their world as a red flag. And it's not that you've got the wrong skills or that there's anything wrong with you, but rather having the lens of sharing a life and then having a good look at your life and going, well, am I really happy with my life? And some people say, yeah, I'm happy with it. But if you've got something you're desiring, then you're not happy with your life. There's something missing. And it's actually okay to own that. And sometimes you don't even have to fix it. You just have to flat out own it and go, look, I'm just not happy with this part of my life. And I'm looking at, well, what are the other options? That's a very empowering conversation. And it's actually very inviting for somebody else to come through and saying, oh, that's interesting. And here's the things that I've tried before. And it allows for something new. But while you've got relationship as the goal, what happens is, especially if you haven't been able to, well, how do I put it? Especially if you've been in the perpetual preparation trap, it then becomes, here's a connection. This could be the one. And it's that desperation that comes out that they're like, oh, hang on a minute. There's something, I can feel there's something off here. What's the experience of that, being on the other side of that?
It is a visceral, like I was saying, it to me just says like, slow down. There's something that I'm clocking that is off. Not off-putting in that the person is bad or wrong, but it's like, wait, I need to take a step back, which will inevitably when you're in that space. And I've been on the other side of that too, where someone takes a step back and it's like, and it is like this trigger feeling that causes such anxiety and like a pull forward. But I would say that it is just, just kind of my like spidey senses being like, something's not a full yes for me. And one of my mottos or like principles to play by is like, if it's not a full yes right now, and you need an answer, then it has to be a no. For me, a lot of times it's a maybe. I need to take some time with this and actually like consider a few things. And if you're needing an answer right now, I owe you a no because it's not a full yes.
So that's you owning your sides, but it also sounds like there's something else here as well, which is that because you've perceived something as there's something off here, it sounds to me like it's I need to slow down to make sure that it's not mine.
Yes.
And because this is limerence, this is a form of limerence. So therefore you're like, oh, hang on a sec, I may be having an experience of limerence, so I need to go and check that out. And then when she pulls back, this element of desperation going even further makes it clear that there's something going on over there, and I need to pull further back to create the level of safety that I need for myself. And I'm assuming that's how it is for women.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go first.
Well, I love that because I do think a lot of times, and this may be news for men, but I do think a lot of times women are perceiving it and trying to own what is potentially theirs. They're not wanting to bring all of that like swirly lack of clarity into the space. And so she'll probably assume this is something I need to figure out if it's me. And then based on the behavior, it does end up being like, oh no, maybe this was just a wrong fit, when it could have just been exactly what you were saying.
Oh, yeah,
I need to figure out if this is mine first. And the more centered you are within yourself, the more you'll have contrast of what's mine and what's theirs. And especially if she's done a good amount of work, which is the type of woman that you're looking for, that emotionally mature, integrated, feminine woman, she will have enough contrast with what's mine and what's yours that she will be when something's activated in her, will be looking at is what part of this is mine and what part of it is being activated by the situation.
I like this because when I spoke about triggering a false negative, it wasn't a false negative as in there's something wrong with you, but rather the false negative is that she's perceiving that there's something wrong that she needs to go and look at for herself.
Yes.
So then she pulls herself away from you and takes herself out of the options because she feels like there's something in her that's off.
Yes.
And this is where you're coming at it with relationship as a goal is triggering false negatives on her behalf, not in that you're wrong, but she's feeling, oh, there's something off for me that I need to go and look for. Whereas some of the other women that aren't the right fit for you, when you're being more calm because you're like, oh, I might as well just do this other thing, all of a sudden you're getting some woman that's wanting to connect with you because of the depth you can go to, and you may not be going to your deeper depths, and it is more of a depth for her. She's like, oh, there's something here, it's exciting. Then all of a sudden you go even deeper and it's beyond what she can do. That's where the intensity trap comes into play.
I think especially what we talked about earlier, especially for an experiential woman, a networker type woman, which would usually be more compatible with a synthesizer, is what we're kind of proposing here, is it will trigger for her that she's kind of outkicked her coverage, even if she has some level of depth and capacity. When you are going even deeper, it will cause for her to be like, do I have the capacity for this level of depth in this type of relationship? She'll be like pulling back to check that out.
Or that she's overstepping.
Or that, yes.
Because she may have a desire to go there, but feel like, is it okay for me to go there? I really want that, but
yeah.
Where is this coming from? And I don't know. And is it safe? Is it okay? So all these that's where you're talking about the swirls. All the swirliness comes into place for her that if you had known about, you would have been like, well, yeah, it's okay. I want to go to this depth.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the problem is.
Which is why it's so important to just own it from the beginning. Because the more clear you can make it for her of like, yes, you can put weight here, I'm going to hold you, the easier it's going to be for the feminine to just lean in.
But now we're really talking into nuance that's easy for us because we've gone into these deeper depths and are okay with it. One of the things that I want to put forward as one of those distinctions that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that is when we talk about sensual energy or sense making. So the difference between masculine and feminine is that women will take a heart space piece. So the whole sensual sides of things. This is why women like sensuality. They talk about emotions, but what actually is after is sensuality. And I'm not talking about physical sensuality. I'm more talking about the heart, the vibe of something. They will take that feeling and they'll turn that into the whole life energy, which is also sexual energy as well. But if we talk about it as more life energy, men will take life and sexual energy and turn it into sensual energy in the sense that they make sense out of things. So the whole masculine sides is to take feminine energy, turn it into masculine sense making. So this whole being able to be with the senses is what actually brings a woman to life. And we're not talking about just the physical senses, we're talking about the whole thinking and feeling sides of things. And being okay with thought, being okay with feeling, and even the depths of feelings is what has it show up as a sensual place. So this is what containment and holding space, all the elements that women ask for, is around sense making. So if you're not okay with emotions, if you're not okay with people not being okay, then it becomes what women talk about as being an unsafe environment. And then when you eventually relax and you're okay with who you are and what you want and what you're up for, all of a sudden you become attractive. Now, if you then turn around and go, relationship is a goal, and really go after it, you're bringing intensity into that space, which may not be what they're ready for, comfortable for, anything along those lines. They get triggered, and then you go into the spiral. So this is why shifting to the lens of shared life as the goal means that it then becomes being okay with who you are in every given moment. And being okay with other people not being okay allows you to just be in the moment if someone's not okay, and just being like, okay, it looks like you're not okay. Not trying to take ownership as to I'm the cause for this, or there's something wrong with you type piece. Either one of those is a position that we can take which isn't in alignment with what we're up for. The position to take is that this is what I'm up for. And if you're not up for that, that's not a problem. I'm still happy to have a conversation. I'm not going to invest as much as if you were okay with it and this is what you're up for. That's the position to take. And it's more of the ones of vetted. So putting something forwards and saying, great, is this what you're up for? And it's more of a shared experience piece. Sometimes you can just flat out ask. I do sometimes. Like if I'm a deep person. So if I know that people get triggered at these points, I can work out how to then just be straight out and go, hey, this is my level. Is this what you're up for? And being okay with doing that. And it's something I had to practice.
That skill in and of itself, not only the ownership of what is authentic to you, but also how to communicate that, I think is where the nuance is required.
Not making myself or the other person wrong in the process, but rather saying, this is what I want.
Yeah. And this kind of reminds me, I did a video when I first started this channel about you will calibrate your investment based on the type of relationship that you want to have. When you get clear on what type of relationship you are wanting to have, if the other person doesn't also want that, then it is an intuitive, I'm not going to invest more if they are opting out. That like separation becomes a little bit more clear when you come at it from the opt-in, opt-out perspective.
Whereas when this comes from this relationship piece as the goal, it's like, I need a person that, it's you. No, it's you. No. And being able to constantly come from this realm comes across as needy. Whereas being able to go, great, here's the life I'm up for. And I do need someone. Now, it's up to you whether you're that type of person, but also there's certain things that I need this partner to have because it not compensates, it complements how I naturally am. And that other person going, well, that's exactly naturally who I am, and I really enjoy receiving your complementary piece in return, allows for a continual cycle to happen. But we can only get there if we start being okay with what it is that we want and come from that bigger lens of shared life.
I love that. Okay, I'm going to keep us focused again. When did things start to shift for you in your process coming from this like intense piece? What started to shift for you?
The biggest thing that started to shift for me is going from I started to look at the sensations that I was having, the deeper feelings, which a lot of people would either call emotion or triggered emotions or deep emotions. I was looking at them as sensations and starting to realize that the labels I was associating those sensations weren't in alignment with what they really were. So therefore, I stopped blaming other people for causing them in me, and rather recognize that they were patterns of association that were wrong. And the biggest one is like shame. When shame would come up, I would be trying to hide something about myself. When I started to realize that sensation wasn't shame, but rather something else to consider. And how I shifted that to start with was I shifted it from shame to guilt. Because shame is who I am is wrong. Guilt is what I did was inappropriate. But what I found was, as I was looking further and further into it, there wasn't anything inappropriate of what I was doing, but there was just something else to consider. So when I started to realize that, I could re-baseline my reaction and response and my whole nervous system to associate that sensation with being, oh, hang on a minute, there's something else to consider here. And that way I could slow it down. I could be with it, which also could be that there's something in her world that needed to be considered. So I can be like, well, hang on, let's just slow it down for a minute, which creates even more safety for her. So this is why we talk about the masculine being sensual, sense-making, because it's about the deeper sensations that are coming through and being able to translate them into thoughts and concepts that make sense of things. But if we're not okay with the sensations coming through because we've misassociated them purely because of applying a lens that's not the correct lens, then all of a sudden it's like having a what are those? Is it a stethoscope that the doctors have? It's like having a stethoscope in and someone just picks it up and yells and it's like that's what it's like having the wrong lens on. And those are the reactions and responses our nervous system's having. Whereas when we put the right lens in place and I'll be able to look at the meaning based on this correct lens, that's when it's like, oh, wait, there's something else that I hadn't considered before.
Yeah, that's so good. Because it usually is, I love that you always say it's something to account for or something to consider. When we put the right lens on, you just get a clearer lay of the land and you can take things into account.
The challenge is finding the right lens. And this is one of the other reasons we built the Rebrand. And, we've been collaborating on building the Rebrand out further. Is because all these lenses that we've discovered and that are working for us and the clients that have come along to, I was going to say men, but we're actually getting more than men. So the clients that have come to the Rebrand, we're helping them install these lenses, and they're getting so much different results than they've ever had before as well. And because it's a lens shift, this is deeper than a paradigm shift. It will create a paradigm shift and a mindset shift all in one go. But because it's an installation of a new lens and seeing something you hadn't seen before, this is where deeper transformation occurs and allows for quicker results as well.
I love that you say that. So if someone were stuck in the intensity trap, can you give a specific example of how the Rebrand might be helpful for this particular trap?
How would...
changing the lens.
So what it will help with to start with is actually being uncomfortable with who yourself is. The reason why we're coming with intensity is because we've spent most of our life not being okay with who we are. We get a level of depth and then we try to bring all of ourselves to it. Whereas if we're able to be okay with being deep in our areas of life, starting to shift the air, how do I put this? Starting to be looking at the areas of our life that aren't working for us and making changes within that to allow for more depth in the rest of our life. It means that we're not having to bring full intensity to the dating game in order to get our need met there. We're able to get it met elsewhere at the same time. And that way we're actually more comfortable with being who we are. So again, this comes to shared life. Now, in order to be comfortable with that depth, you need to know who you are. And it's the advice over and over is just be yourself. But the problem is if you don't know how your perception works and what are the pitfalls and the advantages and what are the societal based misassociations, then you're trying to live into someone that you're not while trying to be yourself. So where the Rebrand helps is to actually understand how your perception works and how to actually live in alignment with it.
So powerful. I love that.
So the final part to your question then is how do we actually prevent ourselves from going into the intensity trap? Well, one is knowing who we are so we can actually redo our life, refactor. Refactor our life to be more in alignment with who we are so we get to live the life we're after and we're not having somebody trying to save us unconsciously. But also what it means is that we can then go into dating as being the verifying or vetting that the other person is a fit for this life that we've built. And instead of going, this has to be the person because then I get the result that I'm after, rather be around, great, is this the person I do want to share the next 80 years with? And that's probably a really good question to ask yourself. Would I really want to share 80 years with this person? If the answer is no, then be like, okay, why is that a no? Not in the sense of I have to do something different to make her a fit, but rather, how did I attract somebody who wasn't in alignment? What else aren't I aware of?
And where are you trying to fit yourself into her world instead of it being mutually beneficial?
Exactly.
Ooh, that's good. Thank you for clarifying all of those things. Anything else you want for them to know, or that you would have needed to know?
I think that's the most of it. I guess the other sides of it is we always want more of this conversation. And if you want to have a deeper conversation, jump on a discovery call. We love that your men are participating in the comments. There's only so much we can do in a communal-based setting like that. If you want a deeper conversation, then jump on a discovery call. We can have that conversation with you to be able to help you work out what's the best way to move forwards.
Yeah, I love that. We love having deep conversations, and I love having those conversations with men in terms of what the next step needs to be so that you can experience the life that you're wanting to build. I love that. All right. Well, thank you. As always, I hope this was helpful, and we will see you guys next time.